never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
The past is gone. Now's the future.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Review. We are back in the saddle. My name is Mike Larkin, and these two sons of guns over here are my boys, Paul Morales and Daniel Crimmins. Guys, we got a lot to talk about in the Weekly Review here. Lots of stuff has happened, from specials and Raw, name changes, so let's get right into the thick of things. Ricky Starks, first and foremost, everybody's like, oh my God, what name are they going to give him? What blah, 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 blah. His new name now in NXT is Ricky Saints, playoff of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans where he's from. Guys, I don't hate it. I like it. I actually really do.
It works.
It works.
It works. It does, and it's different, and he'll get paid for it.
I'll pay you.
He's going to make bank.
Oh, I absolutely think so. And I think the great way to start him in, as we saw with that contract signing on NXT, having him and Javon against Wesley and Ethan Page as the first ever matchup. It fits two former AEW guys and two actually very good friends in real life. It's a great way for him to start coming into the NXT feeler, so to speak.
He gets to learn the Shawn Michaels way of fucking doing NXT, doing real television showmanship in wrestling.
Well, that's the thing that really goes a long way. And I look at someone like a Ricky Starks. And again, we've said it many a times on this show. It's like, how did Tony Khan miss the doggone boat for what we get to see with this man? I don't understand it, because he's got charisma. He's got everything. He's worked with greats over there. But now he's going to be rising to the fullest of potential. I could see him against a guy like a Trick Williams. I could see him in there against Obafemi. I could see him in there against Eddie Thorpe and so many others. We have a proving ground here.
And I think it goes beyond that. And you both know I've said this in the past. The problem with Tony is he's got all these talented people, but yet anytime a person, whether it be from WWE, from Japan, from TNA, wherever, they become available and there's even a little buzz on, Tony thinks, ooh, hey. It's like a young kid that they get they have a new toy that they wanted, and they play with it, and then they see a commercial for some new toy that just came out,
right?
And they just, to quote Big Daddy V, I just gots to have it.
He's gots to have it. And I will say this about having stuff. Ricky Starks, as Paul Morales has so eloquently put it as well, was on Busted Open Radio with Bully Ray on the Busted Open After Dark. A lot of excerpts came from it, and we'll start with this one. So one of the things that he commented on in that interview was Ricky Starks' comments on his AEW departure. I will say this, but there are some people who stuck their nose in my creative business. That shouldn't have happened. Veterans, that's it. I'll leave it at that. And if they got a problem with me, they got my number. Text me about it. So if we are to venture a guess who these veterans are, Chris Jericho and Adam Copeland. That's who everybody's going with as the veterans. Who y'all think?
I'm going with Cope.
Cope.
He's on the list there.
Jericho.
I was thinking Jeff Jarrett, but I don't see it.
I don't see it either. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, you were on the same lines as I was. I mean, I pretty much think it was Jericho to kind of lead it all. His one interaction with Adam Copeland, and Copeland actually calling him a cheap ass version of The Rock, it says a lot. Like, you don't go into some place unless you're going to put somebody over. That wasn't the way to put him over, but I get it. It sounded really, really cool. It sounded really, really great. He got the crowd hyped. But if there was nothing after that, then what? Who are we to blame? Are we going to blame Adam? Are we supposed to blame Ricky? Or do we blame Tony?
Well, I think it's a whole thing with Tony too that you have to blame in itself, because Tony is not one who to put his foot down and say, "Hey, man, knock it the fuck off." Tony's just like, you get to do whatever you want. It's this
And I'll pay you.
I'll pay you, and it's this magical place of just woo. And that's the issue that we have here. And I think that is one of the hurting points that AEW has, especially what Tony Khan did with Ricky Starks. And something else that really came out of what we saw out of the Ricky Starks handbook was, and we'll go into this quote next, and he goes Ricky Saints on where things went wrong for him in AEW. I can't tell you exactly what the moment was. You could say it was CM Punk leaving and things kind of fell apart. Absolutely. I probably agree with you on that, all right? Or you could say it's that Ricky didn't play the politics well enough. All right, for sure. There's so many things you could say. What I could say for myself is that when I got hurt in March, that was it. I never came back. And even then, I wasn't hurt. It was a precaution thing when I got scared as I had a stinger. Then I was fine. After that, no dice, no communication, no nothing. And that is okay because I ended up here and it's fine. Everything worked out. I don't know explicitly where it went wrong. I can't point to one thing. I could say it was a storm of things. Probably. Did I do something that may have tipped them off? Sure. Asking for my release whenever, this past whatever, that could have been about it, right? But never once was I not willing to do something. Never once was I sabotaging anything. So, I mean, that says it right there with everything with his departure. But I think it's gotten him to the present, and I think in present day he's doing very well for himself.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's tough, like you said, tough to say definitively. I think it's just perfect storm, a little bit of everything. I do think it was strange after the whole shit with Cope happened. Now, I don't think Copeland is the kind of guy that would go to somebody and just say, "Hey, don't push this guy anymore."
Right.
He doesn't strike me as that. Others there, yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, hold on. I was gonna say, if you haven't listened to the whole interview, I beg you to go to Busted Open podcast on YouTube and find it and listen to the entire interview. Ricky pretty much laid out everything without actually laying out everything, but he took jabs at Tony Khan. He took jabs at how he works, the things that he did and didn't do. And he talked about his trajectory at one point in time. Even Bully Ray had pointed it out. Like, you were up here, like you were red hot at the beginning, and all of a sudden it's like you had like this steady decline. And he was talking about, he wasn't sure whether it was his character or whether what he was doing wrong. Back to what he said about not wanting to play politics in the back. But if you have somebody like Chris Jericho coming out there and, saying, he shouldn't be able to do this, he shouldn't, I don't see him as this type of level guy, then everything we say about Jericho is pretty much spot on. He can sit here and come on his little podcast and he can tell everybody, oh, well, I don't think this guy should work. I don't think this guy should work. Or, oh, I'm not that type of person. Oh, if I was that type of person, I would have been doing this a long time ago and nobody could say this or that. But when you start seeing the progression and things that are going on, and you got somebody like Ricky Starks, and Ricky Starks was a star. Ricky Starks was a star in AEW, and unfortunately, it was just that ball was just dropped.
I'm right there with you. And I mean, from his inception, coming in and being a part of Team Taz and getting involved in the TNT title picture and facing Cody and facing Brian Cage and facing Sting in his first match back, there's so many things that they involved him in. And it was up to here. And then he just goes down because Tony got tired of playing with him. Like we talk about his toys and his favorites. He just got tired of absolute Ricky Starks. And now being him in this character right now, Ricky Saints, it's just Ricky Starks, but with the volume amplified and turned up. And I mean, as we could see from this quote as well within Busted Open, also that came out, was commented on his name change, saying it's as close as you're going to get to Starks, and he likes the name, but appreciates that people care about him enough to rebel against it to begin with. He explained that he wanted to pay respect to his hometown of New Orleans, and his new name is the best of both worlds. I equate it to guys when like we hated when Walter became Gunther, but then it just sticks because you can't see Gunther without him just being Gunther. Like we saw with so many different iterations of people getting their name changed, and it's
Damian Priest.
Damian Priest. I mean, Finn Balor. It's like you're calling Prince Devitt Finn Balor. I mean, it just sticks now after all these years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. We know Kevin Owens is Kevin Steen. We know Sami Zayn is El Generico. I mean, we can go on it. Yeah, yep. Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson. We know that again. The names have changed, but the characters may adjust. The faces are still the same. It doesn't matter. We're either going to root for them, whether they're in AEW or whether they're in New Japan or whether they're in TNA or whether they're in WWE. If you're a fan of this guy's work or anyone's work, you're going to root for them no matter where they go.
And speaking of where to go, we'll go on to some more AEW here because we're going to talk about Tony. So also
I won't call you.
I won't call you. I'll ghost you. So this goes into the story of the week. So this is from Fightful. Sources near Shane McMahon spoke with Fightful and wouldn't confirm Shane wanted equity in the AEW, but did admit that Shane was hoping to run a lot of things without having much product knowledge. Tony Khan passed on the overture. And if you look what happened on the Bro Show, so what happened is it was the Coach and Bro Show with the Coach, and Vince Russo was not on this one. So as we saw in the Coach and Bro Show, Coach stated that Shane McMahon, during the meeting that he asked for with Tony Khan, asked for equity in the company, and Shane wanted to come in and run the entire show. Jonathan Coachman then stated Tony Khan ghosted McMahon. So if I'm guessing, because a lot of the sickos were happy about this, is because they don't want a McMahon name attached to the AEW product, even if it's in a McMahon that a lot of people respect, that being Shane McMahon. But you wouldn't think another one being the son of a billionaire, that being Shane McMahon, and the knowledge that he has and the pearls of wisdom and what he could offer to the company, and Tony's just like, no, and just doesn't want anybody else taking over the book or running it but him. That's a big L for him because, again, Shane does have a lot to offer. So I'll start with you on this, Paul. What are your thoughts about Tony Khan just ghosting Shane O'Mac?
I think it was a huge mistake, dude. I mean, you can't have anybody who has that many years in the business and not want to, at least have him there and see what he can do. He can simply be a co-producer or work with him alongside him and say, hey, look, I don't want to give up, complete control, but hey, I'll give up some control and, we could work together on a lot of things. Mm-hmm. He could have easily brought him in and just been a sponge and watched what he does, what he knows, what he learned from his father, being in the business with his father for nearly 30 years, and knowing that this man can come in and just change the entire landscape of your company. And he chose not to. He chose not to because for all the selfish reasons that he wanted to it's my company, I'm not letting it go. And, pretty much the reasons why he won't let anybody else do it. It's the selfishness.
And it's the outside sources of who he listens to. And I mean, it's one of those things too, as well as when you look at the sickos and you look at everybody, it's just, he wants to go with the ideologies of just like, okay, we're going to put on bangers. The story, who cares? It's that ideology that he goes to. That's a small subset of the professional wrestling audience. And I mean, Daniel Crimmins, you want to follow what Paul just said, your thoughts on Tony Khan ghosting that man, Shane O'Mac?
Well, for one thing, I don't think that's ever, the right way to do business. I think you call them up and you say, hey, we're going to go a different way.
Right.
What I do find absolutely hilarious is when this came about, excuse me, people are saying, oh, hey, this is going to be great. All right, Shane's going to come in. He's going to help Tony, this, that, and the other. They were all stoked about it. Am I right?
Correct.
And now it's, oh, well, Tony never needed him, blah, 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 blah. Now they don't like it.
Right. that's
it's fucking stupid. It's McMahon name aside, like you said, Paul, Shane has so much time in the business that he could have been a huge asset.
Right?
And beyond the production of the show, Shane also has connections.
He does. But that's the thing. I mean, with someone like Shane, who did other ventures outside of WWE after leaving in 2009, it's like, it's the business acumen that Tony doesn't want. He wants it to be just, and just
For the sickos!
For the Tony Khan way. And I mean, we'll get into Grand Slam in a second here, but something else that came from AEW, and we're going to bring this into the forefront, relatively new news. Ryan Nemeth from TNA Wrestling files a lawsuit against AEW, Tony Khan, and CM Punk. Now, there's no case number assigned to the lawsuit and is not yet listed online, but here's some of the bullet points from the lawsuit. Ryan Nemeth is, okay, hold on, we're going to just get to out of this point. So we'll go to here, my apologies. One of the points, at all relevant times mentioned herein, Brooks was also an employee of AEW serving as a role in executive leadership. In early 2023, Brooks assaulted and battered two fellow wrestlers known by the stage names Matt and Nick Jackson. Brooks is known to have an uncontrollable temper and often lashes out in violent tirades against others. Thus, defendants were on notice regarding Brooks's violent proactivities. Rather than removing Brooks from the AEW roster of wrestlers, Tony Khan made the decision to merely suspend Brooks for a few months. Brooks is one of AEW's most popular wrestlers, and Khan did not feel that Brooks could be removed without a substantial loss in profit for AEW. Further, Khan has a very deep personal affinity for Brooks. Khan made the conscious decision to keep Brooks as a part of AEW, although he knew that Brooks is prone to lashing out in violent episodes and to injure others. Beyond his deep feelings for Brooks, Khan represented to AEW executives and wrestlers that the TBS network had produced the AEW Collision show contingent upon Brooks' involvement as the show's star. This was all the more reason for Khan to keep Brooks in spite of his violent propensities. During his suspension for unknown reasons, Brooks made it known that he despised Nemeth. Nemeth did nothing to Brooks whatsoever, but Brooks made it well known that he was angry with Nemeth. Brooks has a notorious history for taking violent action against others for no reason. On April 16, 2023, Nemeth contacted executives within AEW to tell his employer that he was worried Brooks would come back to the wrestling circuit following his suspension and assault Nemeth. On June 21, 2023, following Brooks' return to the wrestling circuit, he assaulted Nemeth in the male talent locker room. In a menacing manner, Brooks shouted at Nemeth, "Do we have a fucking problem? Do we need to step outside and handle this like men?" Nemeth was cornered by Brooks and did everything he could do in order to de-escalate the situation. The next day, Nemeth was contacted by Tony Schiavone and other executives from AEW to complain what happened. Nemeth calmly and factually explained that he was attacked by Brooks in the locker room. Following the assault, nothing happened to Brooks as far as punishment from AEW. It was well known in the wrestling industry that benching a wrestler is a form of punishment. That is, the wrestling performer is not scheduled for a match and thus is not paid. Benching a wrestler is a customary manner of punishing a wrestler. Following the incident with Brooks, Nemeth greatly feared being benched by AEW. Nemeth spoke with AEW's in-house counsel and attorneys from Latham and Watkins, outside counsel for AEW. All the attorneys promised that Nemeth would not be benched. Following his June 22nd conversation with Tony Khan, Nemeth was not booked for a match for over 2 months. Because Nemeth was not booked for matches, his income stream from AEW dried up. More importantly, his popularity and marketability faded from being absent from the professional wrestling circuit. On June 17, 2023, Nemeth again contacted AEW's legal department to complain that he was being punished for doing nothing. It was then that Nemeth discovered the real reason why he was being benched. Brooks had insisted upon this. Because Tony Khan had such a deep admiration for Brooks, Khan went along with Brooks' desires to ruin Nemeth's career. On August 12, 2023, Nemeth was finally booked for an event in Greensboro, North Carolina. On the morning of August 12th, Nemeth was walking through the hotel lobby to board a shuttle to the sports arena where the wrestling match would take place. He saw Brooks. Brooks immediately took out his phone and began to text. A moment after that text was sent, Nemeth received a text from AEW supervisor Pat Buck saying that he needed to speak with Nemeth as soon as he got to the arena. Upon arriving at the arena, Nemeth sought out Pat Buck. Buck told Nemeth that he needed to leave the arena immediately and that travel would be arranged for him to fly out on that same day. Nemeth was embarrassed and humiliated in front of other wrestlers who witnessed him being kicked out of the arena. More importantly, fans observed him leaving the arena. Pictures were taken and the expulsion became viral on social media. This humiliation caused irreparable damage to the marketability and reputation of Nemeth. Now, before I read the last of this, I want to just say this first and foremost. Ryan Nemeth did not help himself by pretty much calling CM Punk soft after he did the "Tell Me When I'm Telling Lies" promo, and he took to social media. So before I read even the last part of this, because there's only a little bit left, Ryan Nemeth, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to put it like that, and I'm sure you have a case, whatever, but he opened his damn mouth all over social media first. He's not like an innocent bystander in this. Go ahead, gentlemen.
You saw me playing the violin, right?
I
was
know,
in
right?
here
I
just-
know. I saw you playing that violin, Paul.
Go,
ahead.
DC. No,
Go ahead.
go for it.
From a legal standpoint,
Yeah.
It's gonna be, to quote one of my favorite movies, Training Day.
Yes.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Thank you, Denzel.
And some of those claims are pretty extreme.
Right.
I mean, if he has a case, then yeah, if this is true, if everything he's saying is accurate, yeah. But see, here's the thing, like,
Mhm.
do we really think CM Punk had that much power?
No. No, not at all.
And to mention the brawl out thing, with the Bucks and
Omega, yeah.
and CM Punk, to me, like, this whole thing is just weird. Like, the timing is weird. Again, not to say it isn't true,
especially after they do this whole partnership with TNA.
Right.
Remind you, and Phil Brooks is in WWE. So again, back to what you just said, the whole timing of this is just weird.
Exactly. And again, we're not saying that these allegations aren't true. None of us are saying that.
No.
But what I'm saying here is it's going to be very difficult to prove your case.
Exactly. And before we get to Michael Elgin and his response to this, to good old Uncle Dave, we will just finish the last of this. So the entire episode was engineered by Brooks. Brooks demanded that Nemeth be told to leave and that he would be flown out of Greensboro immediately. Khan, for his part, went along with Brooks out of his deep admiration. On August 15, 2023, Nemeth contacted AEW's legal group and complained about being ejected from the event at the direction of Brooks. AEW lawyers were themselves stunned and could offer no explanation for the conduct of Brooks and Khan. Then he wrestled for the last time for AEW on November 18th. Then Nemeth continued to follow up with AEW's legal department in the hope of trying to resolve this situation and to avoid further conflict. In a bizarre email, AEW attorney Chris Peck reached out and threatened legal action against Nemeth and accused him of employing a ghostwriter in his emails. On November 25th, Brooks left AEW to wrestle for the organization's main competitor, WWE. Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol, and that he adored in every way. Khan was furious with Nemeth. Khan believes that Brooks left AEW because of Nemeth. The defendants have embarked upon a campaign to blackball Nemeth from professional wrestling. Specifically, Tony Khan blames Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Nemeth can never again make a living in wrestling. The conduct of each of the defendants was malicious and that defendants intended to cause injury to the plaintiff. Defendants acted willfully and with a conscious disregard for the rights of the plaintiff. So that is the details of the Ryan Nemeth lawsuit. That is the whole shebang, the whole kit and caboodle. And this, Daniel, you want to comment before we go into the Michael Elgin portion of this?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You kind of had me there. You kind of had my sympathies for a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. But then, to say that Tony blames him for getting... Wasn't it Tony that fired Punk?
Yes. Well, Punk quit, and then Tony released the statement. Yes.
But officially, didn't Tony fire him?
Yes, officially Tony fired him. Correct.
Tony could have very easily have said either come to work or, he could have taken Punk to court, but he didn't. What strikes me as odd is you're going through the legal, but yet why does he not mention I spoke to Tony Khan on this date, Where's that?
Oh, we don't have that. He didn't talk about that.
Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you reaching out to your boss?
Right.
He's going to have a hell of a time proving this. I would not be shocked to see if, this, because we all know the kind of lawyers that Tony Khan's got access to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Almost the same ones that Vince had.
That's correct.
And, Punk is not hurting for money. And if Punk really wants to, I'm sure TKO could go to him and just say, hey, you need lawyers.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be risky, but
It's a bitch move. I mean, unless you have credible evidence, you have to have the evidence in order to back up what you're suing somebody for.
exactly.
You can't just sit there and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to sue you for the simple fact is I think this happened.
Right.
I have an idea or I have a feeling that this happened while I was employed with this company because of everything that you just mentioned. But you don't necessarily have any credible evidence in your possession to where you're saying, this person said I couldn't come and I tried to contact Tony Khan, or these are the how many times, the list of how many times I called legal in AEW. I need to know that I had the conversation, or if there are any emails, or there are any text messages, are there any phone records of you, them calling you or you calling them. Those are the things that you have to have legit evidence in order for this to be taken seriously.
Exactly. Like, if you have voicemails, copies of that. If you've got emails, texts, anything with a paper trail,
Exactly. And
your call history.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
but
anybody can go into their cell phone history and print out their call history.
yep. It's things you need to be privy to. And if Ryan Nemeth cannot be privy to this information, then you're fucked. Exactly. It's Ryan Nemeth being Ryan Nemeth.
The other side to this,
Go ahead.
and with filing a lawsuit like this, the risky part is, what does this do to his reputation?
Honestly, well, I'll be honest with you, and I don't hate Ryan Nemeth, and I don't mean to sound this in a cruel way, but there's another Nemeth, and his name is Nick, who has been popular all these years. He's
Nicky!
He's just Dolph Ziggler's brother, and I don't mean to put it like that, but like literally, that's all he is. He's Dolph Ziggler's brother.
That's exactly who he is.
Didn't Ryan Nemeth? Didn't he have like an NXT tryout or?
No, he was in NXT. He was Briley Pierce in NXT.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was like an interviewer, and then he became then he was a wrestler. And
now, I'm sorry, but that you talk about bad gimmick names. That name was terrible.
Briley Pierce, yes, it was.
The menacing Briley Pierce.
Yes. And speaking of someone who was menacing, so Michael Elgin has chimed in about this lawsuit. So Uncle Dave wrote, Ryan Nemeth filed suit in Los Angeles Superior Court against AEW and Phil Brooks. We've had several stories over the last 2 years covering this case. And Michael Elgin responded under that, will you ever contact TNA to confirm they never investigated, never fired me, and lied to the public to damage my reputation and harm my ability to feed my family? I thought we always had some form of respect for each other. You're quick to report on so many things, but something that can change one's life for the better, you don't even respond. But when people call you names or say you know nothing about wrestling, you're so quick to engage. Why are you so outwardly opposed to covering that, or the fact that I have proven things said were lies and just getting a statement from TNA would prove so much? So that was Michael Elgin's response back to Dave Meltzer about all of this. And I think with Michael Elgin, he was a part of that whole Me Too movement and everything there. Last time we saw him in TNA was in 2018-ish, and he wrestled Brian Cage for the TNA World title at the time. So it's been a number of years since we've seen him in the public eye. And Dan, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Big Mike, Unbreakable Michael Elgin, and his response to Dave Meltzer?
I mean, it's got a damn good point.
Yeah.
I mean, he could sit there and jabberjaw with everybody on social media, including yours truly,
Yes.
to which he just ended up saying, you're wrong. That was all he said.
That's really what he said.
But that's really what he said. And here's the thing is that Dave Meltzer would respond to everybody and anybody Why are you dodging Michael Elgin?
I feel you.
I mean, if everything that he said is legit, then TNA owes him an apology, and put it out there.
Right. And I mean, we do see who's in TNA now, and we'll get to that portion when we talk about TNA and what happened there. But I mean, if Tessa can be there, I mean, come on, with Michael Elgin now, we can do something. We need an apology. We need something. So, and it has been a number of years. It's been since pre-COVID. So, come on
Yeah,
now.
and exactly, and of course she hasn't apologized, so that's
No, but
we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. Okay, so couple more AEW things. So before we play Brian Alvarez and Tony Khan's production meeting, and we'll touch upon some Grand Slam, I have to talk
or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. We will talk about Rita Chatterton. So former WWE ref Rita Chatterton says she was under contract with AEW for 1 year and did absolutely nothing. So here is
sounds like every wrestler in AEW.
Oh, very nice, Mr. Palmarella. So Chatterton was on the Power and Glory podcast, and she told a bizarre story about how this appearance quickly led to her being under contract with AEW president Tony Khan. So here is the excerpt from the interview. A few weeks after that, Seth calls me and says, Rita, there's this guy that is trying to get a hold of you. He wants your phone number. So this is her friend Seth Turner, who's the president of the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, pretty much said, hey, Tony Khan wants to talk to you. Let's set this up. And Rita Chatterton, after being aware of this, she said, who's that? And he says, well, his name is Tony Khan. Who the hell is Tony Khan? That doesn't even sound right. He says, no, Rita, you should probably take his call. And I said, why do I want to take his call? He says, well, he owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why the hell would anyone who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars want my phone number? He says, well, he also owns AEW Wrestling. Okay, so give him my phone number. So he gives him my number, and I don't hear anything. And a couple of weeks later, I get this phone call, and I look, and I don't know the number. Then I get thinking about it and decide to call that number back. So I call it back. It's Tony Khan. So Tony and I had a nice long talk, and I was under contract with him for a year. Very nice man, gentleman. Very, very nice man. And that's how I ended up getting back involved in wrestling. So it was just a crazy story. When Rita was asked about what she did when she was under contract with Tony Khan, she laughed while admitting that she didn't do a damn thing. You know what? I was under contract with him for a year, and I did absolutely nothing. But he wanted me under contract, so I was under contract with him. Rita was apparently listed as a talent scout for AEW. She said she attended a couple of Jacksonville Jaguars games during her time there. And yeah, that was the story of Rita Chatterton at AEW. Oh, boy. Come to my company, Rita. I love you.
Sounds then again.
I'll pay you.
Back to it. Sounds like about 80% of the company that he has on his roster, and he doesn't use them. So she's along with about those 80% of the people on the roster. So
this woman is in her mid-60s, and you want to make her a talent scout for AEW. What the fucking... Oh, and I think it was just a way of saying, hey, you had a bad route with Vince McMahon back in the mid-'80s, so we're going to have you employed in this company, and I'll treat you right, and I'll be nice to you. And I'll pay you! So, yeah. Your thoughts, Daniel, of Rita Chatterton being in AEW for a year and doing nothing?
I mean, hey, if you want to, sign with somebody and just get paid to sit at home.
God bless you.
Where? Go ahead, do it.
Go ahead.
Whatever.
Oh, Rita.
Again, back to that's 80% of the roster that right now they're pretty much sitting at home getting paid.
Let's be real, Paul. More like 85.
85.
Okay, 85%. Okay, I mean the Bucks are sitting at home doing nothing, and they're still getting paid. So, make that make sense.
That's not very nice, but it is very evil.
I like both of your styles. So
look. The thing is that I just want to just real quick.
Yeah, man.
I get it. She had a bad rap with Vince McMahon. And if Tony had this conversation with Seth, about her and what she's doing, and a casual conversation, and then he feels, what, maybe if she's down on her luck, or she isn't, really making the money that she should, or that he felt maybe this is kind of like a charity thing, to where he just hires her. I mean, I like charity too. I mean, you can hire me and I'll do nothing for a whole year. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, Michael, you got to put this on somewhere, and tell Coney Khan, I'll pay you, or you pay me, you pay me.
You'll
We'll
pay
see.
us.
He'll pay us. We'll sit.
Exactly,
We'll do nothing
exactly.
for fucking a year.
But I'm just saying, like, if okay, that's cool. I mean, that's a nice gesture if that's what he did. Hey, cool, fine and dandy. But you're doing that to pretty much 85% of your roster.
Exactly. And this brings us to the other Busted Open portion of the show. Bully Ray, that boy Bully Ray, mentioned this on Busted Open. Bully Ray says Cody Rhodes leaving AEW was the beginning of the end for the company. Cody Rhodes leaving AEW was a major, major blow to that company. Cody leaving AEW is what started the downward trend. Go back and look at any number, any metric, any talk on social media. Cody is the first crack in the wall. And do I agree with him? Yes. 1,000%. As soon as Cody left in early 2020, again.
Because Cody, it's not a particular wrestler. You know what? You know who could leave right now, and the metric on it wouldn't be the same as Cody. Chris Jericho.
Right.
Kenny Omega can leave and it wouldn't be the same. The Young Bucks can leave and it wouldn't be the same. Here's why. And as much as those, I mean right now, not later down the line, but I mean, if they left right now, if they just said, if we, while we were doing this, got breaking news, all of a sudden, oh my God, Kenny Omega left, it would not have the same repercussions or same reaction as it would be for Cody leaving. Right. Why? Because Cody was literally the first of the company VPs to leave the company. And he didn't go just anywhere. He went back to the company where he started at.
Right. And
the fact is that they made him a bigger star than he ever was in AEW. So make that make sense.
I concur. And I mean, having him as been the baby face now, and we'll get to that segment that, may I have your soul, sir? We'll get to that later in the show. But it's like with what they're doing with Cody since he came back in 2022 and had that WrestleMania match with Seth Rollins, and of course the feud in itself. These past 3 years, he's been the number one babyface of that company, and he's been a bigger star in that company than he ever was during his tenure in the beginning of WWE. And I mean, with what we have, Cody leaving, Punk leaving, Jade leaving, Ricky Starks leaving, all these people leaving, you had people that not only had potential, including Ethan Page, but you just, it's not the same, man. It's not the same. And now what you're telling me is how you still want to think that this is still a war and that we're still the alternative here. The main event of your next pay-per-view is two WWE guys, and Jon Moxley and Cope for the AEW World's Heavyweight Championship. So, I mean, you negate all the facts that you wanted to be different in the first place.
You can't have a pay-per-view called Revolution if there is no Revolution.
Daniel, you want to comment before we move on?
I'll pay you.
It should not be Cope facing Mox. You know who it should be? It should be somebody like a Ricky Starks or a Sammy Guevara or any of the homegrown talent that you have. You have one of the best rosters in wrestling. And let me pull up the greatest thing in the world, the Google.
I mean, to add on to Dan's point, it should be Darby Allin, but Darby Allin is going out Mount Everest. But yeah,
if he hasn't made it up a quarter of the way,
it should be Darby Allin. But Tony's like, okay, you want to wave the AEW flag?
Instead, you've got a guy who's 51.
Yeah, at Copeland's 51. Well, then we may have another 50-year-old if Christian cashes in if Edge wins. So I mean, hey,
Adam.
Cope.
Adam.
Cope.
I'm just saying, like you have so many. Brian Cage should be in a title picture, in a main event title picture. Instead of just being wherever the hell he is.
Well, he's going for the tag title with Lance Archer, yeah.
all we are saying
Right.
collectively, we are saying together, is that there are other guys who should be on these cards week after week after week. If Adam Copeland, his only reason for leaving WWE to go to AEW, yes, they weren't renewing his contract. Yes, I understand all that, but if for him to leave and to go to AEW was to get a title opportunity or a title run one more time before he decided to hang him up, I guess that's okay. But at the same time, you're in a company where they're not using a lot of the homegrown talent that they have.
Right.
And it's nonsense. It's freaking mind-blowing why they aren't using any of them. Not one.
And the thing, it was so rushed for me, like when him and Team FTR, Rated FTR, came back and they did that, and they're supposedly going for all the gold. And now you just have, the Death Riders as the trios champions, and they're feuding with guys like the Undisputed Kingdom and Daniel Garcia and Daddy Magic and Ange, and just the whole thing is just whatever. And I mean, we'll get into Dynamite now, and we'll also touch upon Grand Slam's mishaps, but goodness gracious me. So we'll start with, we have two more clips, and one is from Matt Hardy and one is from Brian Alvarez. So I figured we'd start with Brian Alvarez first, and then we'll get to Matt Hardy talking about AEW. So this is from a recent edition of Figure 4 Online. Brian Alvarez says AEW doesn't have production meetings and that there's frustration about it every week. Not a week goes by without someone in AEW asking why they don't have production meetings. Things happen on every show where if they had a meeting, they wouldn't happen, but Tony Khan refuses to do production meetings.
Bigger story here than this was just such a fucking disaster is not a week goes by, not 1 week goes by where I don't hear from somebody in AEW saying, why the fuck don't we have production meetings? We need production meetings. Things happen on every show where if we had a production meeting, they wouldn't happen. But Tony refuses to do production meetings, and here we are. This is another one. What in the fuck happened here? Nobody knows. I didn't get a single good explanation for it. It was just everybody was on a different page, and you made the babyface look like an absolute idiot. And away we go.
So what he's referring to is this past Dynamite, Megan Bayne, after a week build, literally a week build, has a stare down with Chris Statlander, attacks her after her match. And then we get Megan Bayne versus Chris Statlander. And I will quote Daniel first on this because he said it perfectly. This is literally Camille all over again. So Megan Bayne has a match with Statlander. She wins. Because of Penelope Ford distracting her. So we have Mrs. Joey Janela X versus current Joey Janela's boo, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford on the same page. And they're attacking Chris Statlander. Then here comes Thunder Rosa with a chair. And all of a sudden it's like this. She stops and then Penelope Ford puts her hand in front of her. Then she tries to swing again. And they're both just like no-selling it. And then they just get out of the ring. And it looks so wonky. It was botched. It was awful. And of course, now it looks like we're getting Thunder Rosa and Statlander against Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Before we even get to how crappy Megan Bayne's been booked so far, I'll start. What the actual fuck? Like, literally, like, what the actual fuck? Some are saying, like, they were going into business for themselves. It's a whole debacle. So, Paul, go ahead, because I just am so flabbergasted by this.
I love me some Thunder Rosa.
Same.
I think she's a fucking amazing talent that is just in the wrong fucking company. I'm not saying she has to be in WWE, but fuck, TNA would be a hell of a lot better for her and would treat her a hell of a lot better. Anywhere else would be fucking better for her. And I'm going to clip this and fucking tag her in it. And I love her to death, and I love her on Busted Open. I think she's one of the best people. Go watch her YouTube when she goes out to eat fucking tacos with a lot of wrestlers. That's one of my favorite things to watch. On top of that, this is so disrespectful to the woman. This is so disrespectful to a veteran. And Tony Khan should be fucking ashamed of himself for even having all this fucking happen. This is productions. There have been several production mishaps throughout the fucking years. If it isn't camera angles, it's, you know, people bleeding, people not bleeding, people no selling for fucking shit that they should sell for. That's the issue, is that you have all this amazing talent, especially Rosa. Rosa is a veteran who should be treated as such, and she's treated like shit. I don't care how anybody wants to spin this, and you want to say, oh, well, it was just, I'm pretty much thinking like you, they went into business for themselves and they ain't giving a shit.
Yeah.
That's the worst part.
I mean, I equate it to this, and Dan, before you speak, I'm going to add this little nugget, and I'm sure you can follow up on this with me, good stuff. So it reminds me of Britt Baker going into business for herself. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This was nobody cares, and they literally did not fucking care about Thunder Rosa and what we're going to get here, because it goes back to Megan Bain's horrible booking since she's come into this flipping company. She's in the gauntlet for the women. She has 2 squash matches. She attacks Thunder Rosa. She gets a match with Chris Statlander out of nowhere because Tony doesn't know how to stretch things and let it build and let it marinate.
Or have a production meeting to
have a
let them
production
know
meeting.
what you need to do while you're out there.
While you're out there. And
because, you know, he's such a great booker.
Oh, he's the best
booker ever.
And then we get
Booker of the Year 2024 and 2025.
Oh, wait. And then we get to
and so forth.
And then we get to what we got here. So, Daniel, your thoughts on this whole fuckery?
That.
Let
me just take a sip of my my Steve Weiser.
What? Go ahead.
By the way, it's just down the freeway from me. By the way,
really? Yeah, yeah.
In El Segundo. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
So, like you said, this is Britt Baker all over again. You know, and she's another one in the wrong fucking company.
Yep.
Like, this is another thing where people come available. Tony's like, oh, a new shiny toy. I gotta have you. Come to my company. I'll pay you.
I'll pay you.
So, given that, you are trying to get Megan Bain over at the expense of somebody who could be your company's Trish Stratus.
Right.
People love Thunder Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could do so much more with her. But as I've said before, if you're not going to use people, cut them.
Cut them.
And is WWE that much better? No. Am I saying she should go there? No. Not saying that. But Thunder Rosa, go, like, ask for your release. And, you know, more and more people are going to be leaving AEW.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Have you noticed, you know, one of the emerging markets is the Hispanic market. Like, everybody is trying to do that. Look who WWE has.
Stephanie Vacor.
They are not short on Hispanic stars.
Yep. No, not at all.
AEW is.
Yeah.
They don't really have a whole lot of big name stars. And, you know, they're trying to get established stars. They got Ospreay. They got Swerve. They got people. And this is the problem. They are going after people that the IWC already knows. Go for the future.
Well, to go into
but the problem is that Tony doesn't know how to build anybody. Yeah, he's taking established stars. Yes, he's taking these big names who established themselves in other places. He's taking them, bringing them in, and being like, "Ooh, new shiny little toy. Hey, look at what they can do. Yes, let me book them in these matches." And then all of a sudden, what? You have nobody there. They're not doing anything. They're just there. After less than a year, they're gone. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No,
if he would have had Stephanie Vacor there in about 6 to 9 months, she would have been nowhere to be found. Julia, had she had gone there, guess what? In 6 to 9 months, she would have been nowhere to be found.
Zarya, aka Delta.
Yep, exactly.
She would have been nobody. Where the hell is Camille? Nowhere to be found.
Well, she was in Queen of the
Where
Ring.
the hell is Willow Nightingale? Nowhere to be found.
Oh, hold on.
Where's Nyla Rose?
Technically speaking, to add on to his point, Willow Nightingale, who the last 2 weeks has been attacked by Marina Shafir, looks like we're getting Willow Nightingale versus Marina Shafir.
The problem solver.
The problem solver. Woo. And then, like you mentioned, no Nyla Rose. Nyla's done some stuff on Ring of Honor, but you hardly ever see Nyla Rose. Like, you have people.
Yeah. And you have so much talent on this roster. And I love Thunder Rosa, and I have nothing but mad respect for her, but she needs to go somewhere where she's appreciated, where she's used, and where people can see her as a champion and she'll be showcased. I'm not saying WWE, but man, somewhere else, TNA is thirsting for women on their roster. Go there and go represent that flag. Go fly that flag high in that company.
I'm in the camp.
Mike Santana's there, and he'll tell you he's probably one of the people who will wave that flag proudly because he knows what it's like to be there.
Oh, yeah.
He's enjoying the hell out of it.
He's in a prominent spot. Looks like he's about to go into a feud with Mustafa Ali, which I'm totally here for. And I mean, to look at the women's side of
things. Sorry to cut you off, Mike, but Mike Santana was another one of those guys where he could have, they could have built him into a main event player in AEW.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you had Proud and Powerful, then they broke them up, then they had that brief feud, then nothing. Then nothing.
Because they didn't like each other.
Because they didn't like each other. And I mean, Ortiz and it's so sad that how that ended up. But like you guys mentioned, Mike Santana, like, we're going to see more people going to TNA than more people going to AEW. I am of the thing with the women. Blair Davenport, go to TNA. Yeah. Nixon Newell, the former Tegan Knox, go to TNA. And Sonya Deville, who just the former Daria, the former Sonya Deville, like she was talking about, like, I'm not going to badmouth WWE. They gave me my career. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to badmouth them. Go to TNA. Go be a part of the Knockouts division. Like,
and you could still come back to WWE, and you still have that relationship with them.
Yes.
Same thing with. It doesn't matter. I mean, even Isla Dawn would be another perfect person to go to not AEW. Sorry, my bad. Please, TNA, go to TNA and just flourish.
Imagine Isla Dawn and Rosemary.
Excellent.
I love that. Wouldn't be good.
Oh, it would.
It would be really good. And that's just the problem. Like AEW, and we've said it. And I'll quote Papa Larkin. Shout out to you, Dad. But my dad was like, AEW's not even cold right now. Hi, Dad. AEW's not even cold right now. He said it's a fucking glacier. Like, that's literally what he said. It's like, it's not even cold right now. It's a glacier. And he's right. Like,
I don't know, but we about ready to have your pops on here, because if he's over here spitting that facts, you know what? We need to have him on here spitting them with us.
Yeah, because my dad's been watching wrestling for over 50 years, so he knows what he's talking about. Like, we all have a vast knowledge of what's cold and what's not. And this product, I don't care. This is where we're going to Paul's topic here. Paul said with AEW, they did the excellent MJF Adam Page stare down this week. It was very similar to the Will Ospreay promo with Max's insecurities and, who you really are. But is this going to restore the feeling? No. You could have a slight little nugget or slight something of like glimmer of hope, but this is like WWE 2019. You had some good stuff with Bray Wyatt and this and that in 2019, but your product still fucking sucked. And the product still fucking sucks. You could give me MJF and Hangman Adam Page. You could give me all of this, but it still does not restore the feeling. And also the fact of the matter is this, you also kind of rushed this because you knew the Jeff Jarrett feud was not going to go anywhere, so you pivoted, and now we have him and Hangman Page out of nowhere, which, mind you, yes, they have history and this and that. Hey, remember that time? But you kind of rushed this. Is it going to be good? Yes. But is it going to restore the feeling? No. So, Paul, go ahead and start, and then I'll go to Daniel.
Look, it was just a promo. I just thought it was okay. It was good. No, take that back. It was good. It was a good play back and forth. They have good chemistry. They have really, really good chemistry together. And if you were if you were booking this, and I mean literally booking this, I said MJF should be the one going after the title.
Yeah.
I said MJF should be the one who is going after that title and taking it off of Mox. And then give me him and Dustin at and I agree with Bully Ray.
All in
I
Texas.
agree with Bully Ray. Yeah. And he said in Texas, Dustin against MJF, because that would be beautiful. That and that would be something that I would love. But MJF and Hangman, they've had interactions before. Nothing to this extent, and hopefully this is a longer feud than just a month or so.
Yeah, and for you, Daniel, I'm kind of in agreement with Paul. I think this is going to be like a short stopgap, and then we go on to something else.
Now, what they should do with MJF, bring back the Devil, and you have they can't have everyone that's tried to take the title off Mox has failed. So what do? You make a deal with the Devil. MJF can play, the dark hero type, which honestly he never should have returned heel. Like when he came back, he should have stayed a face. And it should have been him. Because who did he beat for his first world title?
Jon Moxley.
Bingo. Have him do it again.
Yeah,
but we got that Daniel Garcia feud, which went nowhere.
Yep.
Like MJF is, I believe it was Bully actually that said that the only reason that Tony signed MJF again was so he wouldn't go to WWE.
Yeah, that's literally the reason. Yep.
And I think he's Vince McMahon. This is what he's doing. This is what Tony is doing. He is signing people so that they won't go to WWE.
And the thing too is, like, to go back to the women for a second, like we saw what happened. First of all, you have someone as white hot as Harley Cameron, and the puppet's hilarious. She has everything. She cut a great promo on Collision this week. The match at Grand Slam was really, really good. Her and Mercedes went out there and tore it up. And then you get to the post-match where her and Momo Watanabe are in the crowd. And, of course, since Momo won the trophy and she can challenge anybody, you knew where it was going, that she's going to challenge Mercedes at Revolution. And you already know who's going to win the doggone match. So you went from Mercedes having this great match with Harley and Australia, and now we're going back to, hey, remember that time back last summer when they wrestled at that New Japan show and Mercedes beat her? Yeah, we're going to do that again at Revolution. Yeah, it's going to be great. And I like Momo Watanabe. She's a great talent. Good. What?
The puppet is over.
Very much so, yes.
Now, Alexa Bliss got that doll, Lily, over. WWE Shop is selling replica Lily dolls.
Mankind and Mr. Sacco.
Bingo. Why are you not selling replicas of the Mercedes doll? Why? But what are we getting said? Oh, that's right, a replica of the Jon Moxley white T-shirt. He's literally selling a white T-shirt for like $40.
I saw
after
it.
shipping. Like that doll, that Mercedes doll would make bank. They would sell so well.
I mean, if you guys want a white T-shirt, bro, I got a place down the street for $10, boo. I mean, high quality, very good. Hell, I get mine there. So you guys, I will ship. I won't even charge you shipping. I will send them to you for free.
But that's the thing.
Although you got to pay for them because I ain't gonna charge you shipping though.
But that's the thing too. It's like nobody is excited for Mercedes and fucking Momo Watanabe at friggin' Revolution. I mean,
and nobody. Look at you have Harley Cameron, who's so fucking over now.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Forget the Australian crowd. Forget the crowd there in Australia. This girl is so over in the States.
Yep.
Her fucking doll is so over in the States. that it's fucking hilarious. And they're now, mind you, those two are more over than Mercedes.
Yep. But what do you do with Harley Cameron? You have her going back to feuding with Deanna and Taya.
You have her continuing the feud with Mercedes. You have her insulting her, having her, be who she is and being funny, being silly, being hilarious, but yet still that nuisance in the back pocket of Mercedes. And it makes sense to me. But Tony Khan, it doesn't make sense to him. She's going to be gone in about 2-3 months. That girl is going to be gone. As over as she is, we're never going to have what she had right now. Oh no, what she had in Australia, you ain't getting that back.
That's the thing.
I don't think so.
No, me either. Because you're, like I mentioned, you're going back to the Deanna Taya, which is probably going to wound up on the doggone pre-show. And then on the other side of the coin, you had Toni Storm beat Mariah May at Grand Slam, and she's the champion again. But then Mariah loses her mind on Collision and attacks Toni, and now we're going to have a Hollywood ending at AEW Revolution for the title, which they're going to blow it off, and Tony's going to win. But the problem is, who the hell do you have Toni Storm wrestle after the Mariah May feud is over? Like who?
And
Yeah.
it goes both ways. Like, it's the same thing. Mariah wins. Who does she go against?
Yeah, and they had like stopgaps with Willow Nightingale and Mina Shirakawa, and then right back to Tony.
Put it
And
on.
watch, you're gonna have Camille show up, and all of a sudden it's gonna be like, hey, you remember that match way back in 6 or 7 years ago? Well, we're bringing it back. That's what we're gonna do this week.
And then you had in Australia Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega beat Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, and now we're going to get Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay in the cage. And then you got Kenny Omega and Takeshita for the title, which you got to think it's going to lead to Kenny Omega winning, and then we get the unification match with Okada and all in Texas because they've been building that, which fine. But it's just the big thing with also as well as Okada beats Buddy Matthews, and poor Buddy Matthews hurt himself. And everybody's like, oh, but the ring, who cares about the ring? It was a small ring. They had to rent the ring from a local indie and Kyle Fletcher's boys because Tony did not have a ring already there. WWE could do that, but Tony won't do that, so we had to get a ring. And you could say, oh, it's not that small. It was a 16 by 16 ring. Okay, it was a small fucking ring. I don't want to hear it. You had a small ring. Somebody got hurt in it, and it looked like shit. The presentation was shit. Let's be blunt about it. It was shit.
It was shit.
It was shit.
I'll pay you.
But I'll pay you. And did you notice he was...
Brother Tecos.
Did you notice... And the show wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It had its moments. But did you notice how friggin' giddy Tony got? Because, oh my God, the lead-in from the All-Star game, even though they did 502,000 viewers on that damn Collision.
Hold on. That man got booed like crazy.
That too.
That man got booed out of the damn building. And they were just like, they weren't having it. They didn't want him to come out. The fact that he came out and they booed the shit out of him
says something.
And even though he said that they were going to come back next year with an actual pay-per-view, no, you're already done fucked up, because this should have been your pay-per-view. For as hot as that crowd was at the beginning and through certain points of that throughout the entire thing, throughout the entire event, dude, you had your shot to make this one of the biggest freaking collisions or even a pay-per-view in another country that you did in freaking England, and you blew it.
Yeah. And I mean, they cheered when he was said, we're coming back to Australia, but still, it doesn't negate the fact that you fucked up. You fucked up.
You promised people a pay-per-view
in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. You promised them. You said it was going to be a stadium show. Said all this shit. And it's like it's gaslighting your fans, saying, "Oh, I never said that."
Yeah, you did.
There's proof.
There's proof of it. Oh,
but
when he announced that they were going to do Wembley, he started almost immediately booking matches for Wembley. Now England is one of those places where you can have, and they've been there twice already, and they've pretty much they've done really, really well in the O2 Arena. Or is it the O2 Arena? No, it's Wembley, huh? It was
Yeah,
Wembley.
Wembley Stadium.
Same, yeah.
So they've done excellent there both times that they were there. They've built those events for pay-per-view quality, 40 matches pretty much is what they had both times. Had the entire roster out there for both shows. I'm saying is that they could have done the exact same thing in Australia and had the time of their lives, but no, they chose not to. And they could have did it before All-Star activities that last Saturday. So you can't give me that bullshit.
The show was done by like 4 or 5 a.m. our time. Like our time, not
Our time. Eastern.
So they had plenty of time.
They did.
They could have aired it. Max could have aired it, early in the day, and then just have that collision time as standard time.
But for us, it aired at like 10:30 right after the All-Star game. But yeah, it was what it was. And the All-Star game was great. That friggin' slam dunk contest was fucking awesome. And Mac friggin' killed it. Like, that was more exciting than just going into this fucking show. Again, solid, but the ring, Buddy Matthews getting hurt, it was a debacle. Like, from a presentation standpoint, it was a fucking debacle.
And can we just take a quick detour and just acknowledge that tweet that Buddy Matthews sent out? The one that I sent you guys.
Yeah.
About calling himself Mr. Ripley.
Mr.
Like, I love that he's that petty. Like, he's that kind of guy that he's having fun with it.
Yeah, and then Tony had him delete the fucking tweet. Yeah, that tweet. Oh, I mean, it was so like, yeah, I got hurt, it happens, but that fucking ring. Like, because it was half work, half he's in character, half shoot. Like, I'm fucking pissed as I got hurt in the ring. Like, yeah. Like, Tony's
and
like,
his wife and Rhea was there, so.
Yeah. Like, fucking, oh God, it just, the whole thing, just Tony makes my head hurt. And there's one final AEW thing before we get to NXT, TNA, and the big I'll Take
FTK.
Your Soul. FTK. And before we get to I'll Take Your Soul, put you in a hole, but we're not talking about the Demoness. We're talking about The Rock and Cody. One final thing from AEW. Matt Hardy had this to say on the Matt Hardy show, and here we go, which along with Mr. John Alba.
Match her in the ring. Harley doesn't.
Who cares? Harley doesn't match her in the ring. That's irrelevant. That's one of the issues with AEW that Tony pushes. Like, we're the best wrestler, and like best wrestling is. It doesn't make a difference. These people are characters, and like if you want to build this character into something else, it doesn't make a difference if she doesn't match up. That's like it drives me nuts, man. Once again, this is an entertainment property. At the end of the day, it's nice. There's a lot of people that can do great things wrestling wise. They're very athletic. But like, because she doesn't match up, if you're an over character and people are interested and it's going to help sell tickets and it's going to help move merch and it's someone that is popular, utilize them and make the most out of them.
Harley doesn't.
That is fucking spot on from someone who's been in the business for over 30 plus years in Matt Hardy. Fucking spot on. I mean, I equate it to what Bubba Ray said talking about emotion tonight on LFG, talking to his team on LFG. If those have not checked out LFG on friggin' A&E. It's the first 2 episodes were great. You have a lot of veterans on there. You have people like Matt Hardy talking about AEW. Guys, it's emotion. It's evoking emotions, listening reactions. It's just what Matt said. We've been saying it many times. That's what matters.
All wrestling is sports entertainment.
Yep.
You can label it pure wrestling. You can label your company we're the best wrestle, whatnot, but it's all sports entertainment. And who coined that? Vince McMahon. I will give him that credit. I will give him the credit where the credit is due. But this is the thing, is that every company throughout since Vince McMahon pretty much switched every company, with the exception of ECW, because ECW was not a sports entertainment company. TNA evolved into a sports entertainment company. New Japan evolved into a sports entertainment company. Stardom evolved into a sports entertainment company. and every company that has come since has actually adopted a majority of those concepts. So for AEW to call itself a pure wrestling company, or we're the best wrestle, dude, you're a sports entertainment company. Period.
If it was supposed to be a pure wrestling company, you wouldn't have characters. It would be old style, Luthas, George Hackenschmidt, like that, like
Buddy
old
Rogers.
school carny shit. It wouldn't be, like it wouldn't be the Young Bucks coming out and doing the poses. It wouldn't be, ornate themes or gear. It would literally be the person just walking to the ring and people throwing down. Like,
Think of like Ray the Crippler Stevens and Pat Patterson. Think of Buddy Rogers. Think of we'll say it because hi Moses, the AWA back in the 80s. Paul Mo. The AWA.
Think of the Iron Sheik.
That's
no. Think of the WWWF. I mean, we can go back. And you could look at superstar Billy Graham.
Bruno Sammartino.
Bruno Sammartino, who was one of those carny acts back in the day.
Bob Orton Sr.,
Bob Orton Sr., who was one of those. Black Jack Mulligan, who was one of those guys back in the day who were just, Stan Hansen was even before he got into, Antonio Inoki. Yep. Even over in Japan, he was the exact same way. We can list these all day.
Yeah.
Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne was another one that was way back in the day who was the exact same way. Anyways, point being is that we're in a day and age to where every wrestling company is pretty much sports entertainment, no matter which way you want to spin it.
Yeah, and again,
if they deny it, they're lying.
They are. If I'm lying, I'm dying, to quote Roger Klotz from Doug. But no, Tony, it's just...
Yeah, even the original Rock, Don Morocco.
Yes. The point being, Tony, you got to get your shit together, but you're not going to listen. And this is why all of us just groan every time we have to talk about you, because you can't...
I'll pay you!
I'll pay you! And you can't get your shit together, and the product that you're putting on does not make me excited about Revolution. I can tell you right now, Robert Davis, shout out to Robert Davis, our boy, TSK, throw it up, too sweet. We love you, Rob. Rob isn't even going to the damn show. Friggin' Harold is not going to the damn show. Kyle's not going to none of the TSK boys. Paul is not going to the damn show. Nobody.
And I got a fucking invite to go to the show, and I said
no. You gave the finger.
I already knew, and I didn't give him the finger. But when he asked me, and he said, "Hey, there's this show. Oh, you've heard of Revolution, right, for AEW?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You want to go?" And I was like, "No." I said, I mean, respectfully, no. I said, because it's not an interesting card to me. And I go, but you enjoy yourself.
There you go. Absolutely. And I mean, the guys with the TSK were like, once Moxley versus Coke was announced, they're like, yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Just again,
if Harley Cameron isn't winning the title, no, I don't want to be there.
And again, this is no disrespect to Momo Watanabe, but it's like, who cares? We know the result. Now, speaking
if it isn't Sammy Guevara, I ain't gonna be there.
Sammy Guevara. So we'll move to the WWE portion. Let's stick on to the NXT portion. So we mentioned Ricky Saints. We got a big match announced for next week, which I popped as soon as they came in. No Quarter Catch Crew was like, we want to face the best tag team, and they challenged the Hardy Boys. So next week, it is Miles Bourne and Tavian Heights against the Hardy Boys not for the tag titles, but it's a tag team match. And I am so excited because we haven't seen Matt on TV since 2020. We haven't seen Jeff since 2021. And the Hardy Boys' first time being on NXT and a WWE ring is awesome. And you had, of course,
as TNA Tag Team Champions.
As TNA Tag Team Champions. And, of course, we would be...
It's fucking crazy the time that we live in that we are getting that.
Well, I wouldn't be remiss if we didn't mention Obafemi is like, all right, you mofos, Dion Lennox and the rest of the gang who at Vengeance Day tore it up, friggin' attacking Obafemi and the tag teams. Man, oh man, and here came Moose, the TNA X Division champion. People have been wanting it. We wanted to see it. It happened.
I fucking popped big time as soon as I heard, boom, As soon as I heard his music, I was like, oh fucking shit, holy hell, every damn 4-letter word, every damn curse word you could think of in the damn book, and I was fucking hyped.
Yeah. And then, of course, they announced Moose versus Lexus King in Cincinnati, Ohio for the X Division Championship is being defended on NXT.
Let's just acknowledge that in all the years that I've watched wrestling, I have only ever seen another company's title defended on WWE television one other time. And that was in the 90s when Jeff Jarrett was the NWA North American champion.
Oh, God, yeah. They brought back the NWA.
Yeah. But let's
have one better. Have one better. I remember when, oh, God, I can't remember his damn name, but I know the USWA title was defended, and I believe it was on the first couple of episodes of like Monday Night Raw. It was like an early on match, and I believe Moses and I were fucking like tripped out on it. But the fact is that they had the USWA title on Raw. So,
but the fact is, we are having a title from another organization being defended, and people say, "Well, they've done this in AEW." Well, this is WWE television we're talking about. This is rare.
I go back to the partnership because it's like, I'll even take it back. Not even 10 years ago, not 15 years ago when they had the WWE TNA brief Monday Night War. We never thought this would happen. It's like when TNA in 2004 Impact came on the air, and then they started doing the 3-hour pay-per-views. And then, of course, 2005, 06, mid-2000s.
Even, Mike, you got to mention the whole, remember the Royal Rumble debacle from years ago?
Oh, God.
The commercial?
Yes. I remember.
That footage is out there. TNA has it, and I want to see it.
Yeah.
Like, you got the partnership now. Do it. Show it.
Show Cookie Gate with Tracy Brooks and Shane Douglas and 3 Live Crew and an unmasked Rey Mysterio. Yes. But no, that's the thing, too. It's like we never thought this would happen. And this is like everybody go, but AEW New Japan. Yes, that's cool. But nobody ever thought that WWE and TNA would be working together. They had their footage on documentaries, but we never thought we'd see what we have now, which brings us to the TNA side of things, which next week on TNA television, we're going to get this system against Obafemi and the Hardy Boys in a 6-man tag match, which is going to be great. And spoiler alert, at Roadblock at Madison Square Garden, we're going to get Obafemi versus Moose and the Garden at Madison Square Garden. Like, this
of all fucking places to have it. Of all places to have it.
It's going to be it's big. It's like, Jesus, like, people don't understand, like, how awesome this is. And then we got to talk about it. So Tessa Blanchard comes out. And she's cutting the promo because the thing now is she hasn't wrestled. You have to wrestle a match or you're fired. So, of course, we saw a Genesis Jordan Grace match. They chanted she's a racist at her. And I'll insert the clip. So she gets chanted she's a racist here at Full Sail. And then, much like they did, and the footage is out there, the footage will be inserted here as well. Booker T came out for NXT, and before it started, they were all singing, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you! Hulk Hogan, we coming for you! Which was hilarious. But then, live on television, on Access TV Full Sail, these people started chanting, Tessa, we coming for you! Tessa, we coming for you! And she just smiled and kept on doing the promo. Once again, if you would have acknowledged this or said something, Tessa, that you did this, I know, yeah, you wouldn't Thunder Rosa. You would friggin' La Rosa Negra friggin' talked it out and you apologized. There's the photo. Everything's hunky-dory. But how about apologizing to Chelsea Green, Isla Dawn, Allison Kay, Chi Dolan, all these other effing people acknowledging that you fucked up. You fucked up, but you haven't. And that's why we still do say what we say at you. So what were your guys' thoughts on?
And can we just say Booker T just had a blast with it? Like, you can see him trying. He's trying not to laugh.
Well, Blanchard will not be wrestling tonight. And before you get too upset, let me explain why. And it's because the doctor backstage, and when I say doctor, I mean the incompetent Dr. Asa, decided that Tessa Blanchard was not a priority.
But he wasn't. He didn't do a very good job.
No, he didn't. But
He
Tessa,
didn't do a very good job, and you'll see it in the clip because Booker T was just in having fun. I mean, and it looked like he was just enjoying himself. Shout out to Booker T, man, because that man is just doing his damn thing
let me
with
give a shout out.
reality of wrestling, the stuff that he's doing there, the fact that he has his Hall of Fame show on ESPN radio. You know, shout out to that man. Shout out to you, Booker T.
Can we give a shout out to Mike Rome for egging it on by doing the Hulk Hogan ear cup and then freaking clipped you fucking Mike Rome? But yeah, no, y'all, what were your thoughts on the Tessa thing? Because she got through the promo, but yeah, the Full Sail University let her have it.
I mean,
We've stated before, she needs to apologize. I don't care what little picture you did with one person. There are more people whose lives you hurt.
The ones that I just
The people that Michael just mentioned are the ones that have been
bullied.
that had to deal with your bullshit and the bullying you did. So Tessa Blanchard, you need to get out there and you need to apologize to these people as well. It may fall on deaf ears and you just have to take it, but at least you could say, guess what? I wash my hands of it and I apologize to these people. Whether they accept your apology or not, it's up to them. Whether for the people, the IWC, the fans, we just need to see it. And at least know that you know what? You fucked up.
You fucked up. But yeah, Tessa Blanchard getting the chance on TNA, and the show was good. Like the other things that came out of the show, the Colognes, Eddie and Orlando, are now in TNA. But the other big one that is in TNA now. Hello, my name is Elijah. Elijah, who we saw the stuff with the Righteous, that promo. So everybody's thinking, okay, he's going to Ring of Honor, but no, he is now signed with TNA Wrestling, and I would love to see some Elijah on NXT. That with that guitar strums and that.
Can we all just acknowledge that Kevin Owens is going to be fucking pissed when he realizes Elias has another brother?
I knew you were going to do it, and you got to it before I did.
Thank you
very much, DC.
Damn, Kevin Owens is going to be so pissed. Yes.
Thank you very much, DC. I appreciate you, man.
Oh man, but yeah, that's cool. That's a great addition, and him on NXT, I think he'll get the Fandango pop, like when Fandango came out, and when he comes on NXT, whenever. That was cool. Like I'm for it. He's in where he needs to be, and him and Joe Hendry had a great segment with the Colognes. Like it was really good.
It was awesome, and then the match was pretty cool too. So to see him back in a ring, at least on TV, and there's still that partnership with WWE. So yes, I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is going to be very, very pissed.
And I will.
And he's probably going to make him take another freaking not DNA test, another lie detector test. That would be funny.
That would be great. But that's the thing. We were, and you notice the trajectory of this show, ladies and gentlemen. We start off just like, ugh, and then we get to happy times because of everything that's going on in the blend that professional wrestling gives us. Now we get to some more happy times, but also at the same time, too, we have to, sell our souls. So we're going to get into it. Here we go. So the Elimination Chamber has been, we'll talk about it later in the week, but the Elimination Chamber for this coming Saturday has been filled. So the last 2 spots in, Damian Priest is in the Elimination Chamber for the men, and Seth freaking Rollins beat Finn Balor to also end the men's field. And for the women, it has also ended with Naomi getting involved, beating Chelsea Green, and Roxanne Perez beating Raquel Rodriguez. So the Elimination Chamber women is filled. Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton are going to take on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the unsanctioned match. I will say this, Nia Jax being ever so gently with Trish and Tiffany just sitting down on those girls with that bonsai drop. Not even just like sitting on down with that booty. Friggin', oh my goodness gracious, that's a whole lot of women. But
can we refer to Tiffany Stratton and Trish as Trishy time?
Yes, we can. Absolutely, we can. But I had to mention this because we all love Nia. But Paul, you saw that booty just gently just sat right down on him. Just sat right down on him. That was the most gentle bonsai drop and annihilate I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not touching this. I'm not. I'm just not. Just not. I'm just not, because you already know what I was gonna say, but I'm just not gonna touch this because I love me some Nia Jax.
That's what she
I
said.
love me. That's what she said. I love me some Nia Jax. So
Yeah.
She's on my wall right now. I will go touch her, but I ain't touching this one. So
to all the people that were shitting on the spot, how about she doesn't want to kill these poor girls? Like maybe she's trying to be nice, just like nice little lay it.
Y'all give her so much shit for what she normally does. So when she's trying to be extra careful, you still shit on her.
Shit on her.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. You shit on people for fucking doing something right. You shit on people for doing something wrong. There is no middle ground here. It's just fuck it. I'll just shit on them because I want to shit on them.
Absolutely. And we will definitely discuss the Elimination Chamber as we get closer to it later. But I love what
Next show.
I love what we're doing with how we're shaping it up. And like we mentioned, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens being outside of Sami Zayn's house, cutting that excellent promo.
I'm watching you.
I'm watching you. But that's the drama that we're getting. And I thought everything was well. People were crapping that Naomi and Liv Morgan kind of got cut and we got what we got. But I'm like, we got a little something to heighten their tag match going into Raw for the women's tag titles. The show was fine for what it was with DIY and Pretty Deadly. But the talking point of this flippin' show, The Rock comes out, he cuts the babyface promo, then he goes heel during the midst of the promo. He comes out to Lil Wayne and then before we get to his actual music because they're in New Orleans. So this big pageantry for The Rock, then Cody comes out, and it leads to I Want Your Soul. And now The Rock is pretty much playing Vince McMahon 1998, 1999, and he wants Cody to be the corporate champion, much like The Rock was in 98, 99. So it's a flip and roll reversal, and now at Elimination Chamber, we have to find Cody's decision. Daniel, go ahead.
If they are smart, Cody turns.
Yes.
We get heel Cody versus Cena.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see. I don't like the idea of a face Cody versus a face Cena. I don't like that. And Cena's never going bad.
See, my way with it is I think we're going to get with the Elimination Chamber. I'll say it. I think we should get Punk and Cody and that whole deal, and we get Roman and Seth. And I think for the women, Alexa Bliss would be an interesting choice, even though we're seeing her starting to get like the glimpses with the Wyatts and I'm in Control playing off that. But I think Rhea and Alexa would be fresh because they have history. But the thing is, too, is I think we're going to get Cody and Rock. Somewhere. I don't know if it's WrestleMania, but I think we're going that direction. If he does turn heel, that would be cool because we know Cody can be a heel. But it's very interesting to see the tipsy and turvy way of it. But this fucking promo and this segment was just Jesus. What were your thoughts on it, Paul?
I loved it.
Okay.
It gave me that similar vibe of Stone Cold shaking Vince McMahon's hand
at WrestleMania,
at WrestleMania 17, and then The Rock becoming a corporate champion, Seth Rollins, the chair in the back of Roman Reigns, that one, was one that gave me that vibe is, turning on the Shield, him going with Triple H. Same thing with Randy Orton. When Randy Orton took that title and took it, and they handed it to him and he was their next champion. He became a corporate stooge, for Triple H. So it's not in short of that realm. But we look at the movies. Actually, technically, we look at a specific play. It's called Damned Yankees. Or Damn Yankees.
Yes.
The guy sells his soul to be, to play for the Yankees. And when the devil, when he comes back to ask him for stuff, it's he wants something in return. So it's kind of along those same lines, that we've already seen in wrestling before, and it's a corporate champion, and eventually do we get that heel, that finally we get that heel turn. Homelander Cody, do we get that Cody back? Do we get that heel as Bullet Club, Cody Rhodes back? And if we do, I think it's CM Punk.
Yeah.
And my wife is kind of going along the same line too. She's kind of getting invested. By the way, I love my wife because now she's really, really getting into this. Every time we see something or see a clip of something, she's like, "Oh, what if this happens? And what if this happens?" And she's getting there. I'm getting slowly but surely turning.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely turning her. Don't tell her.
I do like the CM Punk realm of him. Like, what's the favor? And then you get the favor of him main eventing WrestleMania and being the corporate champion, so to speak. Like, I like that. There's so many directions, and much like Daniel said, I think with the Cena realm, I think we have to get John Cena and Logan Paul because of what happened at the Rumble, and we have John Cena beat Logan Paul in his final WrestleMania of the year, which is a nice little send-off with Cena with WrestleMania. But you have many different ways of layering the story.
Hold on. You cannot have John Cena lose his first single match and it be at fucking WrestleMania. He has to go over.
Yeah, you can't have
you
Logan.
You can't have Logan Paul go over at fucking WrestleMania for John Cena's last match.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. No, you cannot.
You can't. But yeah,
I will go to Myrtle Beach and I will choke you.
No, you can't. I'm saying John Cena has to beat Logan
Paul.
Okay.
I will join him.
No. Okay, first of all, number one, this is not Vince, and number two, this is not Baron Corbin beating Kurt Angle, and everybody got pissed at that.
Okay.
And we'll pay you.
But no, I honestly think John Cena in his last WrestleMania has to beat Logan
And that was
Paul.
somebody who was reluctant to want to do it.
Yes.
That was someone who was reluctantly not wanting to do it. Yeah, he did not want to go over Angle, and he wanted Angle to beat him in the ankle lock or however which way he beat him, but he was reluctant. And he said that in interviews that he didn't want to do it, but Vince told him to. And
similarly, Brock didn't want to break the streak.
No.
And that's again, I go back to the most memorable thing at WrestleMania 30. WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans was not Daniel Bryan winning 2 matches to win the WWE. It was the streak being broken.
Right.
And that's it. And that's something that should have never happened. Despite everybody, that's exactly what Vince did. And that was probably the most fucked up thing.
Randomly aside, it's just it's funny that now even Taker's like, might not have been the best choice.
Yeah, he knows.
And even Roman Reigns would have been the best choice. I think it needed to be somebody because Roman Reigns was already on that trajectory upward and he was already up there. Of all the people that he could have allowed himself to put him over or to put over, those two would not have been my choices.
Bray or Roman.
If I'm going
back, we could do a round table of who we think it should have been. And that'll be another episode of that when we eventually get over what the other stuff. Look, we're going to come around to that.
We're going to
continue. We'll continue on with this.
let me finish this point because it's gonna just drive me the fucking
Okay,
straight.
go ahead.
You flip it around. Mania 30, you have Cena versus Brock, and you have Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt breaks the streak.
I like
that
that.
should have happened.
Should've
That
happened.
would that would
Taker
that would have
goes
been my
for-
first choice.
Taker goes for either the choke slam or the tombstone. Bray counters it, hits Sister Abigail. 1, 2, 3.
I like that. But that is definitely a topic for a future show. And I like that we're putting the creative juices flowing, you crazy son of a gun, Daniel Crimmins. But I will say this. 2 final topics. One is actually music and wrestling related. So the video came out, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. So Our Lady Peace, who has done great music for WWE, like Not Enough for Jeff Hardy's Desire videos, and one of the most memorable ones that they have done, and they performed it after 20 plus years at their recent show, Whatever, which was on the Forcible Entry CD. And
Whatever.
It was the theme song for Chris Benoit. What are you guys thinking about them performing this song after 20 plus years?
I think it's great.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It's a good song.
Good song.
It's a really great song. I mean, I actually have it on a playlist, and I don't. To me, it's associated with Chris Benoit, but it was still one of the fucking bangers on that damn album. I'm sorry, it was always a banger,
and it always will be. Like, it's still one of the best songs on the Forcible Entry soundtrack.
I mean, I think it's similar to, and Paul, you know, it's similar to like for how many years Paul McCartney refused to play Helter Skelter at live concerts.
Right.
You know, and you know what?
Exactly.
If Our Lady Peace wants to take the song back and make it their song again, cool. More power to them. And I am happy for it because it's a damn good song.
And people popped when they played that song at their concert. People popped because they
Yeah, but you have to understand is that for non-wrestling fans, right, they know it as their song.
Yes.
They don't associate it with Chris Benoit. They associate it with, damn, this band is so badass, you know, oh my God, that song, whatever, you know, that's their song. If they're for, again, back to non-wrestling fans, it's their song. But for wrestling fans, yeah, it's still that painful reminder of somebody, but at the same time, it's still just a song of a band. So
I've always
I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that they do it.
I'm right there with you. I've always looked at it like this. Like when I used to watch MTV2 as a kid and Trust Company's Downfall, like I knew the song from MTV2. Did WWE use it for Vengeance 2002 as their theme? Absolutely. But I first came across it because it was on MTV2. Like that's how you learn and how everything combines and blends. So, I mean, it's a song and it's a great song that's going to live the test of time, man. And I mean, our final topic is this beautiful woman right here, Miss Jessica Carr, Miss former Jessie K. So we're going to talk about it. According to Fightful Select, the Calyx name, Kalyx, is for Jessica Carr, WWE's first full-time female referee who has been quietly making moves to return to in-ring action. Sources within WWE claim Carr has been competing under a mask at recent Evolve tapings, and Calyx is reportedly her new identity. You go, Jessica Carr.
Go, Jess. Man, I'm here for it.
Me too. Like
I'm here for it.
You have no idea how excited I am for next week when we get Evolve on Tubi. Like people don't realize like how good that's going to be. Like this new like brand, this new stars coming up, it's going to be good.
Here's the thing though, is that you see all these ID people for WWE. If you take a day or take the names, look them up on YouTube, look up a couple of matches on YouTube. Each one of them have had some pretty excellent matches, and it'll get you hyped for this show. And we are going to see some awesome wrestling from a lot of people who are trying to get up into NXT on the main roster and eventually are going to be stars of the future for WWE.
1000%, man. And I mean, if you have a veteran like a Jessica Carr in there as well to help them, besides her doing the ref stuff, like it works perfectly.
Exactly.
And I'm excited. Like, if you guys have not, again, checked it out, next Wednesday, per an exact, we're going to get a Evolve on Tubi. Y'all should check it out. It's the same day as AEW. And no, this is not a new Wednesday Night War because one airs on Tubi and it's free and the other one's on Max. And some people try to make it like the new Wednesday Night Wars with this new friggin' show being on Wednesday. I'm like, stop it. It's not. Stop it. It's not.
Stop.
Please watch my show. I'll pay you.
So with that being said, what you should doggone watch is this fine program, the weekly review. So we will be back next week for some prediction, well, not predictions, but the fallout from the Elimination Chamber, which features 4 matches in a segment. So we got lots to talk about next week. There was no Uncle Dave talk this week, so thank God. Thank God.
Well, you see,
and then I have to, sorry, my bad.
Anyways, yes. So that is the latest edition here of the weekly review. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back for some Elimination Chamber fallout as it airs next Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. March 1st for the WWE. Guys, before we close this out, Paul, where can we follow you on the social medias? The floor is yours.
This name right here, the Dead Man of RWT. You can find me on X. You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on YouTube. Of course, you can click the link in my bio, and that'll send you to my link tree, which will have all my places you can find me. TikTok, my not Pornhub, but not my X videos. Everywhere else that social media has me at, you could find me there. And of course, you can follow me. Send me a DM. Tell me what you like about wrestling. Hell, don't send me anything else in no DM. Nope. Mr. Daniel Crimmins, my brother from another mother. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. Mike will have the link to the socials there. I'm doing recording Pundit tomorrow. Discuss some WWE 2K25 news. A lot happening there. We got some new DLCs that are going to be coming up too. Rumor has it there might be. It's not been confirmed, but they're saying there might be a TNA DLC pack.
Ooh.
Which
that'll be interesting.
For WWE to have another company stars in their video game is huge.
Say his name and he may appear.
And I will say this: speaking of
y'all late, y'all all late. Y'all aren't even on rhythm either.
To be fair, it's 11:30.
I'm out of here.
11:30.
It's almost 11:30.
Michael Larkin, Mr. Michael Larkin. Where the hell can we find you, my brother?
Well, if you want to follow me, it's SM Show 1 or MCL92 on Twitter. It's StephenMikeShow.com and LFCfights.com. If you're on the gram, it's Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mike Larkin92, where you can see the weekly review, Deep into the Heart of Wrestling. The episode 2, season 5 of Uncaged. Paul was on the debut for season 5 with the Rise and Fall of Muhammad Hassan. Robert episode will be out this week talking about what makes a great theme. And our latest edition, episode 3, will be recorded this week. Daniel and I are going to be talking about the 15-year anniversary of the debut edition of season 1 of NXT. We are wild and young, and we have just begun. And check out the LFC podcast, the Steve and Mike Show, and all the great things on this fine YouTube channel. For Paul Morales, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin, and
we'll pay you.
We'll pay you. Well,
we're out of here,
and we'll pay you.
Pay you. We'll see you next time.
Once Tony Khan pays me,
bye.
We'll pay you.
I don't ever slow up. No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
The past is gone. Now is the future.